Hey y'all, welcome back to A Geeky Gal. Today we are doing the first of Geeks Doing Geeky Things, and today I have Rebeccah Hartline of Hartline Art. She has an Etsy shop where she does tons of beautiful paintings, including some geeky ones. So I wanted to interview her after I not only got a personal commission from her, but I also snatched up one before she put it up for sale that featured the TARDIS from Doctor Who. So I just really wanted her to come on YouTube today and sit down and have a chat with me and answer a couple of my questions. So we're going to get right to it. So Rebeccah, I have seen a lot of your artwork and tons of your craft projects on Facebook. And I can tell that you put a lot of thought and love into your artwork.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So what's your favorite way to describe yourself and what you do?
Well, I had pretty severe anxiety, and so I actually started going to therapy. And she asked me what I did to relax. And I was like, well, I used to paint. I used to do all this stuff. She's like, well, why don't you do that anymore? And I was like, well, I stopped when I was a teenager. I went to college. I got my degree and things like that. And she's like, well, you should start doing that again. It's like, yeah, okay. So I'm a mechanical claims analyst. I do claims on like engines and transmissions and things like that, which is cool. I use my degree every day. But my work is kind enough and knows that my painting calms me. They actually let me paint at work sometimes too.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah, so it's really nice. They're really good to me there. And so it started off just needing a little bit of therapy, and then all the people at my work were like, you should be selling these. Why aren't you selling these? You know, you can make some side money. And I was just like, yeah, nobody's going to want my paintings. Like, this is just for fun. It's just to calm me down and chill me out. And somehow I started, people would be like, hey, would you do this for me? Would you do this for me? How much would you charge for this? And that's kind of how it started. And it's just kind of kept on going. Now I run specials and stuff just to like keep me moving, keep me, busy, so to speak. And I love it.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
What is your favorite part of the creative process?
Okay, so I'm pretty straightforward. Most commissioned art starts with an outline. People tell me what they want, what they're looking for, colors that inspire them, things like that. And then I take that and I a lot of times do some rough sketches to get an idea of placement and things that they want, sizing. Pricing is not really the fun part because nobody wants to talk about that. And then I start actually doing the outline on the canvas. Once I have the outline out and I like the outline and I'm happy with it, putting the first layer of paint on is probably my favorite part, because then at that point I feel like I'm like coloring a coloring book, but it's a page I created.
Oh, that's such a cool way to look at it.
Yeah, so that like chills me out. So all those like coloring books out there, yeah, I just basically feel like I'm creating my own little coloring page that I get to do.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so that's my favorite.
So I know you kind of answered this with my first question, but when did you actually start first painting and going through this creative process?
So I actually started painting when I was really young. I grew up in downtown St. Louis, and we were very poor. We grew up in a very small house, and I would go through our basement and I found this package of canvas and all these oil paints. And I'm not an oil painter, but when I was a young kid, I found all these paints and paintbrushes and all this stuff just in our basement. Apparently it belonged to either like the previous owner or an old relative that died. Who freaking knows? I don't know. But my parents let me have it. And so I started painting. I even tried my hand at doing like portraits when I was a little kid. I was probably 10 when I started painting. And I would even, my parents, I drove them crazy. I'd paint the walls in my room. I'd paint my dresser all these ugly colors, and then they'd find out and they'd be like, no, we're painting this back to white. And I actually still have my childhood dresser that my dad did make me repaint because it was like purple and just it was so ugly. And so we had like a weekend project to fix my dresser. So I drove my parents insane. But yeah, I've been painting for a long time. I did stop in college. When I went to college to get my degree in automotive, I didn't paint at all. I didn't sketch. I didn't do anything. And when I started kind of going through like a depression, that's when I started back, and it helped a lot.
I'm so glad to hear that. That's awesome that painting was able to kind of bring you back to yourself.
I think I think it helped me get back to like who I am, because I always told myself, well, you can't do this with your life. Like, even when I was a teenager, I applied to some art colleges and got accepted and everything. I'd send them pictures I drew and things. And I was like, yeah, it's cool to think that they accepted me into their college, but I can't make money on this. I can't do anything with this. So I'm definitely not going to do this with my life. And, I went a completely different direction. And now it's kind of like this, I don't know what the word is for it. Not a satisfaction, but it just like makes you realize that like you could have done something different with your life, but you're not unhappy with what you did. But it's like, hey, this is something I could have done, and this is something I'm doing now. I'm just doing it in a different time in my life.
Well, and a good way to look at it is that like you aren't a starving artist either. You were able to go to college and use your degree, and now you can enjoy being creative, and your paycheck doesn't rely on, am I creative today?
Yeah, and my employers are so kind to me to let me paint at my desk. I mean, there's literally like a thing of paintbrushes on my desk. There's drawers that are dedicated to just paint and stuff. And like, I'm pretty sure when they just moved everyone, they left me in my spot on purpose so that they wouldn't have to deal with me moving like
all your supplies.
So many supplies, and there's just like canvas sitting underneath my desk and stuff of like half-finished paintings that I'll get like bored with that I'm doing for fun and stuff. So they're really good to me. I'm thankful for my day job, and then I'm thankful for my outlet.
Yes. Having that time to be able to dedicate to a creative outlet is key, and it's so awesome that your job allows you to bring that to work too.
Yes, I'm very thankful for them.
What has been your favorite painting so far?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I have a client, he's a repeat client, and he likes the most weird things. So he took a picture of some graffiti one time, and it was, he sent me several things. I've done a lot for him, but his paintings are always really off the wall. One of them, and I don't think I took photos of it, which is really sad because it was before I started photographing a lot of the things I did. It might be out there somewhere, but it's a spaceman, like in his spacesuit and everything. He's basically floating through space, and he's holding all these balloon planets, which is a really popular thing that people get tattooed on them and stuff. When I was researching it, I found it all over the internet. But what was cool was he gave me a lot of creative freedom. So it
got to be your interpretation.
Exactly.
That's
so
awesome.
Even though it was like a common idea, and I was kind of like, oh man, okay, all right, I'll do it for you, whatever. He wanted it on a huge freaking canvas. It was like one of the biggest canvases I'd ever worked on before I had started getting into bigger stuff. And so that was really intimidating. And then the other thing I did, which was not like all the ones I had seen online, is that I researched which planets actually were larger than the others. And so even though they were balloons being held by the astronaut, I made them, based on their sizing of the actual planets themselves. So like, Jupiter was really gigantic cool. And things like that. And so that was kind of like my twist to it. And so that one was one of my favorites. I really like, well, you're going to show it, but doing the TARDIS is... it's a really relaxing painting because obviously I use my painting for therapy, but it's small paint strokes, and it's like a continuous paint stroke in a direction for like the skylines and everything in those types of paintings. Van Gogh probably was super chill because that is one of the most relaxing paintings to paint. And so it's one of the most fun to watch too. Like if I record myself and I like rewatch, I'm like, oh, this is really chill. It's a chill painting. So that one probably relaxes me the most.
What do you geek out on the most?
Okay, so paintings aside, I actually did get into Doctor Who. I enjoy watching Doctor Who. I also was always, oh my goodness, if you could think of anything, like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings. Like I grew up on that stuff. My mom read me all those books when I was a kid. Chronicles of Narnia. She read them to us
Yes.
when we were young children. And so all of those fandoms I'm a huge fan of, and you know, they chill out. They make me chill, I should say. I follow all of the new, it's not really Harry Potter now. I don't know.
The Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah,
movies.
the Fantastic Beasts series. I follow those and love them. So when I like look at like merch and stuff online, I'm like, oh my goodness, I want all of it. My boyfriend is so good to me because he's not truly what we would consider like a geek out kind of guy. He's not into like D&D like I am and stuff like that, but he tries and he's accepting, and he'll give anything a chance. So I ended up kind of like my opposite, but he's awesome. So yeah, Lord of the Rings was huge for me growing up. I actually learned Elvish when I was a teenager.
Wow.
I can write all the lettering for Elvish. I understand how to convert them when there's nouns and everything. So like I like legit did that growing up. Oh my goodness, I was probably like the nerdiest chick, and I had all the popular girls were my friends, probably because I was like the smart geeky one in the group, and then I had all the pretty girls that got all the guys were my best friends. I guess I am super geeky, super nerdy, but being homeschooled all the way through like grade school and high school and everything, I never really knew I was. I just was like, this is who I am.
Yeah, this is normal.
Yeah, this is normal because, you know, my whole family was kind of like this nerdy family. Like, my mom played back in the day. There was a game called Ultima Online, and it was like the first, like, online, you know, social, whatever game where you can talk to people. And my mom would spend, like, hours mining ore. Like, come on now. That's really freaking nerdy.
I used to do that on RuneScape back in the day.
And so, like, it was just kind of ingrained in me. My brother was part of the 501st and had, like, full-on armor built for his body in Europe and stuff. So I guess it's just kind of my family, and it just felt normal. And now that I'm like, oh, you're kind of geeky, and it's like, you know what? That's awesome. It's freaking awesome.
And it's awesome that you have such a great support network between your family and your boyfriend. They all support you in being geeky and loving you for it because it's who you are.
Absolutely.
What are you currently binge watching?
Oh my goodness! Okay, we totally are those people that binge watch things. Okay, so Justin won't let me watch it without him. We just went through and binged the first season of The Umbrella Academy on Netflix.
Oh,
We're
so
addicts.
good.
We're instant
So
addicts. So that's what we did. Now, currently, we switched really fast since we only had one season, and now we're watching. Seth MacFarlane has this show on Fox.
Are you about to say what I think you are?
And we're addicted to it. And I told him, I was like, Justin, you realize, like, we're basically, like, mainstream Trekkies now. And he's like, no, it's not. It's nothing like Star Trek. I was like, well, you know, back in the day,
so much like Star Trek.
when there were not cell phones, Star Trek foretold the future. And he's like, well, what are we going to get from this show? And he's like, I don't know. Maybe we'll get a synthesizer. And so we've been going back and forth, but we're already in the second season. I can't think of the name of that ship that they're on.
The Orville.
Orville, yes, the Orville. And we love it. We're addicted to it.
Same. We just started it.
It's so good. And it keeps getting better. Like, you're so invested in these people's lives, and you're just like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen next? So that's our current obsession, and of course, if you have suggestions for something after that, because we're already I think we're in season 2, and I don't even know if season 2 is finished yet. I don't know.
If you watch it on Hulu, it updates every Friday.
Okay.
I believe it might be Saturday. I could be lying.
It's so good.
So if you've got Hulu, every week you get a new episode until they do their season breaks or their mid-season breaks.
So that's our current obsession, and then when Justin's not around, I'm going back through the show Bones.
I am too. That's so funny.
I'm going back through it. It's just so good.
Well, I do have one suggestion. If you're open to watching an older show until it gets newer, Stargate. has been amazing.
And it still has like current seasons and everything?
We have been watching it on Hulu. I think it has ended, but it starts in, I believe, the 1990s, early 2000s.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. We are on season 8, I believe. But then they also get Stargate Atlantis. So you start watching both of those. I think the start of season 8, you start switching back and forth.
Okay.
It's really, really good.
I'll put it on our list.
You should. It's great. Where can we find you online?
So I'm super active on Facebook. I'm more active on Facebook than I am Etsy or anything else. I'm also really active on Instagram. I try to keep up with projects I'm completing so that people can see my different styles and what I try and do. I specialize in landscapes a lot. Outdoors.
You have some beautiful landscape paintings.
Thank you.
They're
probably my favorite just because like it kind of takes you to another world, and that's the enjoyment, I guess, because obviously geeky girl. I love fantasy and going other places. But Facebook is probably my most active. I do have a small store that has a few things on it, but most of what I do is custom work that people ask for. I'm currently running a special on liquid pour paintings, which you'll see an example of one of them later. But the liquid pour paintings are extremely abstract. They're one-offs. You cannot recreate a second one exactly like the first at all whatsoever.
So you're getting a one-of-a-kind painting. Like nobody will ever have the same painting that you have.
Yeah, you can't recreate it. And I custom mix a lot of my colors too. So even that would be extremely hard to recreate. So my clients basically pick all their own custom colors, and then I'll pour them myself. I can do clean pours and dirty pours, which dirty pour basically means that I mix the painting a special way in a cup, and then I pour them how I see fit. And there's nothing dirty about it, but it's what it's called. And I'm actually currently working on a client who I sold her a liquid pour on the special that I ran, and it was a 16 by 20 canvas. So it was like about that big. And she hung it in her bedroom, and she's like, this is not going to work for me. I need 2 more to make the wall look right. And so I was like, okay, sure, I'll get right on it. And so then she's like, well, I also want the one in the center to be bigger than the other 2. So I had to get an even larger canvas for her. And she's having, I do custom fonting. So like people will find fonts they like, and I can actually paint them, which is something I've been working on probably the last year. So I can literally paint the font out on a canvas. So she's got a font she wants. I'm putting a quote on it, and then they're going to hang above her bed.
Oh, that sounds beautiful.
Yeah, so it's pretty, I'm excited for it. I just poured the bigger of the 3 canvases. I still have 1 more to pour for her. And now that the larger one has dried, because it takes about 24 hours just for it to dry, because of how thick the acrylic paint is, I'll be able to start on her quote in gold, which I will post on my Instagram with a photo before and then after I apply the font and everything.
For my last question, I wanted to ask, did you have any advice for anybody that is just starting out or they want to get back into painting? Do you have any advice for somebody like that?
Yeah, I mean, whether it's painting or it's, making jewelry or custom flowers or printing your own shirts, whatever it is, just put yourself out there. Be willing to ask people what they think. A lot of times people will give you creative criticism. Doesn't mean you have to take it. Doesn't mean you have to accept it. But it lets people know that you're interested in what they think, which will actually kind of draw them in more. That's one of the things I always ask people when I post a painting. Please give me your opinions. Most of the time I don't get negative ones, but you have to be open and being willing to accept that either way and thank them for sharing their opinions, which will get you more attention that way as well. Definitely branch out. If you're going to go the Facebook route, create a separate page for it. If you're going to do Instagram, create a separate Instagram. It's really easy to flip back and forth between your personal and your business one, so I definitely do that. I have an Instagram for my dog. His name's Duck Duck Chow, in case you want to look him up.
I'll link that one down in the comments. It's great.
So yeah, I have several Instagrams, obviously, but just being willing to put yourself out there. I think that's the biggest thing. Just getting yourself started is being willing to put yourself out there.
All right, so I just wanted to thank you again for coming on here.
Oh, of course. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad that you said yes. I was very nervous to ask you.
Really?
Yes, like, YouTube channel's like brand new, and I just didn't know how anybody would feel
I felt
about
honored.
doing this kind of thing.
I was really honored that you asked me.
I'm so glad that you did it. And for everybody, I am linking all of Rebeccah's social media down in the description box below. Make sure to like and follow her and commission her for a painting because she does amazing work.
And if you're curious about pricing and things like that, I know that's a common concern with commission art. I'm pretty freaking cost effective, so if you're, curious, you can always just message me and ask me about things like that too. Don't be afraid.
Absolutely. 5-star service, I promise. And please don't forget to like and subscribe for more geeky content. I am so blessed to have you guys watching my videos, so please spread the love, share my videos with your friends and family if you like what you see, and don't forget to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and stay weird. So sweet. Had to be all noisy. Yeah, get attention.
Good girl.
This one needs an Instagram.
Oh my goodness, yes. I totally follow it.